Aloha, welcome back to Inabear Farm. Been a little while. We've been really busy here this summer. We've had our friends, the wild pigs, come back, so we had to put in a lot more fencing to protect our food forest. But we're back now, and it's amazing. It's been 3 years since we started this project. If you're new to the channel, we're on the big island of Hawaii. We've been spending the last 3 years converting what was a cow pasture to food forest. And so we can start right here with one of the first trees we ever planted out here, one of the first trees, this fruit trees. This is a mango, a raposa variety. And this one we are letting it get pretty big, so we haven't done a lot of top pruning, actually any top pruning. We've done some pruning just to keep it thinned out in the middle, make it a little climbable, but we do want some shade from this tree because this is an area that we plan to spend kind of hanging out in and like to have a little shade there. But it's just amazing how big this thing has gotten. It's about 12 feet tall now. No flowers yet, but we do have some other mangoes that are flowering and fruiting. So today I want to give you one of those long epic tours, since it's the 3rd year mark, walk you around the entire space that we've been working on. But I won't stop to talk about everything because that would take a ridiculously long amount of time. I'll just show you some highlights along the way. So let's get moving here. If you're just joining our channel, what we have are paths on contour. You can see this is at the top of our property, and we're on a slope, on the slope of Mauna Kea. Elevation's about 1,000 feet, and that of course is the Pacific Ocean on the eastern side of the big island. Our climate here is, we get a lot of rain, annual rainfall, but it tends to come all at once, so we do have long dry periods as well. So our strategy has basically been to keep the grass at bay, dig it out, replace it with things, like in this case some yellow pineapple. Got a lot of support trees like this banana, and then of course a huge variety of fruit trees. This is a soursop. It was planted from seed not even 3 years ago. Just giant, over 12 feet tall. It's flowered a few times. None of those flowers have produced fruit yet, but maybe this will be the magical round. I'll zoom in on one of the flowers. It's about to open there. Now we're actually getting quite a few flowers, so keep our fingers crossed we'll get some soursop. Some belly spinach. Here's Gliacidia. This is another one of our support trees. This is a nice guild with some native fern. It's called mountain naupaka. Beautiful native flower. And then hidden in all this jungle is the mangosteen and its preferred shade habitat. So this mangosteen is probably about 5 years old, 6 years max. It's still got a little ways to go to fruit, but starting to get a little excited about that. Here you can see one of our strategies for replacing the grass with the perennial peanut ground cover. And so our hope is that we'll just continue to spread this stuff far and wide. It's a nitrogen fixing ground cover that really helps to smother out weeds, retain moisture, all that good stuff. We've mixed in a lot of native plants here. This is a native ohia tree. Kind of have a balanced ecosystem. This is a very rare plant. You can barely find anything on it online at all. Eureka Palm. It was a gift from Joe Hewitt. It's doing really well now. Struggled at first, but seems to be establishing a home here. Lots of support trees in between our fruit trees. This is a coral tree, another nitrogen fixer. Mac nut there. We got comfrey in a lot of our guilds that we use just to feed to our trees. Lots of pigeon pea, also kind of creating a little bit of a shorter overstory, shading out the grass. We use the tithonia mostly as a windbreak. So this is on the windward side of a lot of our trees. We mulch with it as well. We do have a few banana patches that we got as more banana circles, and then we actually harvest the fruit off of those. So got quite a few of those. Turmeric, one of my favorite plants, in the understory of this huge monkey pod tree that was from a tiny little seedling. Look at the trunk on that thing. Less than 3 years in the ground. Some native mamaki, make some incredible tea. Sneak down through here. Ice cream bean, another great support tree. A lot of happy weeds in here. This is the tender Mexican sunflower. Black cane sugar growing up along the path here. Nice avocado tree, very big. Put on some fruits this year, but did drop them all. Maybe next year we'll start to get some fruits off of that. Got a lot of kalo in between our trees, or taro. Nice Rollinia tree getting big, lots of flowers, but no fruit yet. So we're closer to the house right now. This is kind of like our more zone 2, 3. It's more or less heavily managed. It's really a lot of stacking in here, all the different layers of the food forest. And then as we pass this dwarf jackfruit, that's pretty huge for a dwarf. This has lots of flowers on it, nothing that has made fruit yet, but this flower smells so good. I can't wait for fruit. But as you pass this clearing in the middle, which we're keeping open to kind of keep the ocean view open, I mean, it's just too beautiful to close in. And we mow the grass, use that as mulch around our fruit trees and in our garden. And it also just kind of helps to add some diversity to the ecosystem. I mean, this was all pasture before. You can see a lot of the pasture grass here. And it just sort of helps create more edge. You can still get a little bit of that pasture ecosystem in here. Keep it open for, various birds and things, predator birds that might be able to swoop in and grab stuff on the edges here. I like the way that's shaping out. On this side, we're kind of venturing more into zone 3. A little less managed. So what we've got here are kind of alleys of support trees and fruit trees. Some of them have been here a while, like this ulu breadfruit. It's quite big. Should fruit this year, I believe. And some of them are newer. We've got some meringue out here. These are our newer support trees, like the ice cream bean there. We kind of leave the grass on this side, I mean, mostly just because it's too hard to manage it all. But if ever we need the mulch or something, we'll just come and do a cut and pile it up around the fruit trees. There's soursop. Big fans of the annona family of fruits here, so we've got a lot of different annona. All right, then we go out into zones 4 and 5, which is more or less completely unmanaged. We do have a neighbor that brings horses back here, so we have this electric line here. And so the horses kind of knock down the grass a good bit. But otherwise, just kind of being left alone for now. I think we're going to go put a few select trees in there, especially some native stuff. We have a few koa out there. We'll put some more ohia and allow it to establish itself as a forest, but at least have some native things mixed in there, and then some other useful stuff as well. I'd like to get some timber bamboo out there. Let it go. As you can see, the wind is always a force here. It's definitely something I underestimated when starting the food forest. I had to kind of come back and put in a lot of the windbreak and things. Later on, once a lot of the plants had already sustained some damage or bizarre growth habits. So a nice little ohia. This is growing next to an heirloom Hawaiian ulu plant. So this is like the original ones that the Hawaiians brought over. Just got such a cool leaf shape to it. More narrow lobes on that. A lot of our trees have these rings of stumps around them. We had to cut down some nuisance trees last summer, and so we're really utilizing all that wood in the form of stumps and then burning the smaller pieces into biochar. We're getting the most out of all that carbon, even though we had to cut down some larger trees. Cross back over the middle section here. So like I said, lots of fruit trees, lots of different support species, some native trees. There's some things that are just here for aesthetic value. Got a little Eureka Palm right down here, just to kind of fill in, give it that nice tropical lush look. This is a noni fruit, sometimes called the stinky cheese fruit. These things smell, I just can't even begin to describe how bad they smell. Not even gonna try. They're just terrible. But it has some pretty amazing medicinal properties. If you're interested, check that out. This is an area where, if you've followed our channel for a while, you know we've talked about establishing a pond system for quite some time. There's a natural dip here. And so what we'd like to do is dam up through here, create an upper pond that flows down into a lower pond, and just have like a solar pump recycle that water through. And we've got this hose which we will attach to our rain catchment barrel, and then have all the overflow just come into the pond, and then send that overflow into our food forest system in strategic ways. Get some of the fish waste and stuff into our soil, and have just a beautiful little pond ecosystem here. So I thought maybe we'd get it done this summer, but the wild pigs had other ideas about how I was going to spend my time. That's okay. This is a star apple, kaimito. It's a beautiful golden understory. Really took off this year in growth. This is the state flower, a yellow hibiscus. A couple that are about to bloom there. These grow really well here. Some of that African blue basil. If you haven't seen our video we did on that, check that out. A very useful plant. Chocolate pudding fruit. Still getting eaten alive, most likely by rose beetles. We'll solve that problem eventually. Put your pan around. A little chirimoya here. Looking really happy. The lolu is our only native palm here. Or sorry, the only endemic palm. I don't know if they consider coconut native or not. Can't remember. But it's a beautiful fan palm shape. Got all kinds of good uses too. Alright. There's a little pomegranate here. Getting happy. Long gun. This is the BUQ variety. It's a very popular variety for fruit. We've got some cacao tucked in here and there. This one here. Next to the Gliacidia, the Madre de Cacao. You gotta pair those up, right? Then abiu, covered in tons of little buds, some of which will become fruit. It's fruited once already, so we're looking forward to getting some more of that. As we continue to go downhill, here's a good looking macadamia nut. This is the 344 variety, a very popular variety here for production. Here we've got a Mapulehu variety mango. We've got 6 different varieties of mango here. This one's been good so far. It's the first one to fruit that we've planted. And we haven't tasted fruit off of this tree, but we had some Mapulehu from someone else's tree the other day for the first time, actually, and they're very tasty. I wouldn't say they were like my all-time favorite, but definitely very good. Malabar Chestnut, got a couple of these. I've actually never eaten, but I'm excited to have another nut source besides the macadamia nut. So we're looking for kind of the complete diet. I'm a plant-based eater due to allergies and intolerances, and so I'm really working to be able to produce a lot of my own diet. Right here, since I can't have animal proteins, things like nuts and vegetable fats and high-calorie root crops and things are really important for me. I'll probably make an entire video based on that someday. It kind of explains a lot of our thinking here. We got a Meyer Lemon. We just picked one the other day, but we've got quite a few fruits close to being ready, and lemons are great here. You almost have lemons ready all year round whenever you need them. Mame sapote. Some dappled shade there. I'm pretty happy. It's a nice variety of cassava. Looking to plant. Some other varieties we have in our garden out here. This is a crop area out here. We've done a whole video here on our white pineapples and our moringa. So if you saw that video, here's a quick little update on how that's doing. The moringa has filled back in. It gives us a little bit of dappled shade in the summer because pineapples, they do good in full sun, but they actually like a little bit of shade so they don't get scalded. But we are raking in white pineapples here. We had our first one the other day. So delicious. If you've never had white pineapple, try to get a hold of one. And then here we just planted a lot of the ají dulce sweet pepper. They're like perennial Peruvian sweet peppers. That's what these little guys are. Like a 5 or 6 foot tall bush that endlessly produces, well, not endlessly, but seemingly endlessly produces berries, peppers that are like a red bell pepper. There's some fennel mixed in there, some papaya, and then we are just starting to plant more white pineapple up at the top there. So this is an area, you can see our house at the top. We keep this open as well for the ocean view. So we're just planting crops out here instead of trees, and then we kind of come back to this edge here. This will all be, filled in at some point. It's another mango. That's the Kerry variety, and we just passed the Nam Dak Mai. It's got a lot of varieties of bananas. Several of the sweet varieties, the apple bananas. We've got the Thai, the Namwa, some cooking bananas. Down here we've got another mangosteen guild into the Gliacidia. Doing well down here. The Gliacidia there. Malabar Chestnut. This is our beach sugar apple. Another Annona fruit from Brazil with a very linear growth habit. Down here we're a little more protected from the wind, so it's been doing okay. A huge soursop. There's a dip in the landscape here, so we naturally collect water down here and other minerals and things that flow from all the way back. Even got ourselves a little elderberry down here. Sort of a connection back to our previous farm in the Washington, D.C. area. There's some cooking bananas over there. Those never actually sweeten up. They're more of a starch. You can make a lot of good stuff with those. Let's kind of get over here. We can pan back up the hill. Here you can see kind of the breadth of our zone 2-3 section here. Get an idea of how filled in we are. A lot of Tithonia in there, protecting from the wind, a lot of banana. Those fruit trees are really starting to come on and form more of a canopy in there. We're getting a lot more shade, we're retaining a lot more moisture. I did a video at the beginning of the summer preparing for the drought. The summer hasn't been that bad though. June was pretty dry, but July has been actually nice. We've only watered once or twice the whole summer. That is a huge relief. Allows me to focus on other things. And so I'm going to do a separate video to just talk about numbers. You know, how many trees, how many types of trees, what hours of work, cost, all that stuff that you guys might be interested in, just to kind of know the scope of what a project like this takes. It's not easy, that's for sure. But the goal is that eventually it gets easy, or easier, much easier, and definitely easier than managing, you know, like an annual crop system where every year is the same hard work over and over again. The point here is that every section you do gets easier to maintain as it matures. So we've recently cut back all the skinny grass, so you can see all the brown grass laying in there that just recently looked like this. Use that to mulch around our fruit trees, and then little by little we dig it out and replace it with understory trees, shrubs, roots, plants like turmeric and ginger. We replace it with ground covers. So the goal is that in this zone 2, zone 3 area, within the next 1 to 2 years, almost all this grass will be gone. And this will have converted over almost entirely from a pasture to a forest ecosystem. It'll be fungal dominant with lots of carbon, lots of woody material in there. Got our wood rings, we've got our biochar, we've got the high silicate from this guinea grass. All that breaking down, forming rich organic matter, holds on to moisture, grows a lot of fungus in there, and really helps these plants mature into healthy fruit trees. It'll be very productive for us for the rest of our lifetime and beyond. So that's the goal. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this update video. Stay tuned. So we'll have a few other things coming out. We've also got an exciting new strategy for how we're going to deal with this grass. So I'm going to do a whole video about that, because I'm getting too old to come through here with the machinery and take this stuff down. We do this with like an industrial strength trimmer with a blade on it, and it takes it's probably close to 20 hours to get all this down total. And that's, you know, as I'm sure you can imagine, exhausting. And as I get older, it's just taking too much of a toll. So we'll be talking about a new strategy for dealing with that, and I'm really excited to try that out and show you guys the results. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. Hope everybody's well out there. If you haven't subscribed, jump on. We got a lot of new great stuff coming. We'll see you back here soon at Ina Bear Farm. Aloha.